Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well and welcome back to Whiskey Wanders. And I just want to start this one off by saying how thankful I am for all of you for watching these videos and supporting the channel and allowing this little community of Whiskey Wanderers to grow. I mean, it's just it's so amazing. I'm so thankful to be able to make these videos for you all. And really, I hope that you enjoy them and I use them as maybe a little diversion from whatever you're doing at the moment, if your work or whatever you're doing. Now, today I'm here at a Costco that is in Tustin, and I know there's two of them in Tustin, and I'm not sure which one it is, whether it's the one next to the blimp hanger or the other one. But either way, Tustin is a pretty upscale part of Orange County, and it tends to have a pretty good selection of whiskeys in it. Well, one of them does, and that's the one that we're in today. So today I see another one of the newly revived whiskeys from basically before the turn of the last century that has been resurrected by this new whiskey craze, as well as another great offering from the people at Kirkland. This time it's a Tennessee whiskey. And last, a very whimsical whiskey from Crown Royal that is flavored peach. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I am actually happy that they're making this one. Not for me, but it's still good. So anyways, I think this one will be a pretty good one. And you know what, before we get to it, if you like these little videos of me whiskey shopping at Costco, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get updates when my newest videos get put up. So thanks again, and let's get down to it. So with this first whiskey, it's something that is really interesting to think about, the current boom of whiskey and the effects that it's having on the whiskey industry. I mean, this whiskey, for example, the Benriach 10, is a whiskey that stopped being made basically in the 1900s, so the turn of the last century. And now, 122 years later, there's such a demand for whiskey that is being revived by capitalism. Now, I mean, say what you will about capitalism, but you don't see command economies inventing things like new whiskeys or reviving these old whiskeys. I mean, I guess if you were in North Korea and they have a whiskey which is probably made from distilled gasoline, they'd be more like, you're going to drink it and you're going to like it. We don't need to bring these other ones back. So the brand was originally created back in the 1800s and had a sister brand called Longbourn that was being produced at the same exact time when Benriach closed in 1900. It still produced the floor maltings that were used for Longbourn while Benriach was still closed and in mothballs. But in 2017, Brown-Forman bought it and relaunched the brand and used some of these rare finished barrels that I guess they still had in storage. So barrels like Marsala and Jamaican rum cask, which they used to use to make the original Benriach, and they use them to make this now new Benriach 10. Now, it goes through a 3-cask maturation process, first with virgin oak, then bourbon, and then sherry cask. And the Benriach 10 is a single malt scotch. So for all that history, you would think it'd be more expensive, but here at Costco, you can see it at the cost of a reasonable $38.99. But again, if you get it at the street shelf price, you can see a high and a low price of $68.99 on the high side and $49.99 on the low side, which brings the average price to $59.49. So that means if you do pick some up here at Costco, you get a savings of $20.50 or 34.46%, which is good, but it's kind of standard savings for Costco. The ABV on it is a classic 43% ABV, so it's not going to put you in the dirt if you have a couple glasses of it. And the tasting notes on it mention things like fruit, bright in flavor, juicy peach, red grapefruit, and red wine. The scores on it are pretty good since it's basically the first version of it to come out of hibernation for the last century at 87.57 average points. And it does mention that despite the vibrant flavor, it is very light-bodied. So with that conclusion, I did end up deciding to buy 2 of them. That way I can drink one now, and if it's good, then I can drink one later. Or if it's not good, I can give it as a gift. Or just drink it later when I'm desperate, I guess. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about in this video is this Kirkland Tennessee Whiskey at 1.75 liters. I've started to see more and more of these Kirkland brand whiskeys that I guess maybe I just never noticed they were there. They were probably always there. I just never noticed it. And I think there's a total of 10 different Kirkland whiskeys, ranging from Canadian whiskey to even things like a bottle and bond bourbon, and even a 20-year-old scotch. So they have a pretty wide breadth of whiskey offerings under this Kirkland brand. From what I can find about this one specifically is it's distilled by Mike Williams from the Tennessee Distilling Company. And although it doesn't have an age statement, is made from a sour mash that is a mash bill of 70% corn, 15% barley, and 15% rye. Also, it uses the Lincoln County process, which is a seeping of whiskey through charcoal trips that are made from maple wood. That's before it's put into the barrel. Now, at Costco, this Tennessee whiskey is exceptionally inexpensive, especially given the fact that it's at 1.75 liters. So I would still probably be a little leery about what's actually in it, considering how cheap it is for how much you're getting. But at Costco, it's at $14.97. Now, because it is a Costco brand, there isn't really any street high or low prices as well as the average, so they all come out $14.97. That is. Now, the ABV on the Tennessee whiskey is at 40%, which is pretty light-handed for my taste, but it has tasting notes of noticeable sweetness, tropical fruit, mango, caramel, and toasted oak. Now, the reviews on it, though, are generous, and I would say maybe overly generous if you ask me. I found that the average review score on this came out to 92 points, which is crazy good. But I really think the price of this is being factored into the review score. So maybe it's something like those Costco hot dogs or pizza, where you get a product that actually feels like the price you're paying for it is actually better than what it's worth. You're kind of getting the upper hand on it, which is pretty rare. But if this whiskey was $100, I doubt that would probably get them the same 92 score from everybody. So that being said, if you do need to buy vast amounts of drinkable whiskey, like, I don't know, if you wanted to build a jacuzzi with whiskey jello shooters or have a squirt gun fight, but with whiskey, it would definitely be my go-to whiskey, this Tennessee whiskey from Kirkland. But for me, the normal day-to-day drinker, it's gonna be a pass. I'm not sticking my nose up at it. I'm not. But I just don't see myself getting through this whole bottle if I buy it probably before I die. Now, the last whiskey that is one that I would admittedly I would never drink. Admittedly, it just, it's just no way. Maybe that's not true. I guess if I'm on a beach somewhere and I want to drink with an umbrella in it, this might be a good whiskey to put in some sort of whiskey sour and make it more tropical, which is this Crown Royal Peach. You know what? I wonder if it comes in a different colored bag, like a peach one instead of the purple one. I should have checked that. So either way, as much as many typical whiskey drinkers may scoff at this type of whiskey, I really think that there's a place for this whiskey in the market. So, hear me out on this. You know, as we can see with the whiskey boom in progress, and yes, there will eventually be a bust like there was in the 70s, but the more people who can be brought the enjoyment of whiskey, well, the more money that pours, pours into the industry, and through the magic of capitalism, the more whiskey you get. So I don't know what the relationship is, but I guarantee you that if enough Crown Royal Peach gets sold, eventually you end up with a Benriach type whiskey being revived, or another Pappy Van Winkle type of whiskey that knocks your socks off being invented or coming out or being released. And also besides, the wife does need something to drink, and not just be stuck with those vodka options, which are not bad, but whiskey options are going to be better. Now, the cost of this Crown Royal Peach at Costco is at $21.99, which is not really that cheap the way I see it. We just talked about a Tennessee whiskey from Kirkland where you can buy basically a kiddie pool worth of it for $15. So $21.99 is kind of high for whiskey that's flavored like peach. But either way, the high end and the low end of the pricing on it do come out to $49.99 on the high side and $29.99 on the low side. So the average street shelf price is going to come out to $39.99. So whether you would drink it or not, if you do end up buying it, if you have to buy it or you want to buy it, again, maybe for a significant other, Costco would be a place to do it. And if you do, you'll get an extra $18 off the average street shelf price, or 45.01%, which is not a bad percentage. The ABV on it, it's laughable. It's at 30%. I'm pretty sure that in some parts of the world, 30% alcohol isn't even considered hard liquor. It's basically just like a soft drink of some sort. The tasting notes do mention Georgia peach, which would be kind of obvious, cream of vanilla, and peach gummy rings, and absolutely no whiskey flavor. So I guess that's kind of the point, right? So you can always take that for what it's worth. And the reviews are still not that bad, though, considering what it is at 76 points on the average score. Also, another important thing to remember is that some of these reviews on this whiskey, as opposed to most of the other reviews, all the writings that we see, are done by the fair sex. So there's something to be said about whiskey that more people can enjoy than just the average typical whiskey drinker like you and me and us, I suppose. All right, but that being said, I'm not going to buy it. Now, I enjoy it with a whiskey flavor. I like the flavor of whiskey. I like the texture of whiskey, and I like the whiskiness of whiskey. So I wouldn't want to get any peachiness in it and get in the way of that delicious brownest of the brown liquor. All right, so that's it for today's Whiskey Wandering at Costco in Tustin. Thank you all so much again for watching to the end. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you can get notified when my newest videos get put up. Also, remember, if you see a whiskey that you love, just buy it. Because if you don't, somebody else surely will. It might even be me. So have a great rest of your day. I'm out, and adios.